Hello there everyone, and welcome to another edition of Lydia's Crafty Corner with me, Lydia, in my little crafty corner. So today we are going to be creating a full front peek through card using some floral stencils. So I am starting with the very pretty Bitterroot flower stencil. So this does come in 3 pieces to create this really beautiful design here. And this image here, I kind of switched that around on the layering guide, so I'll show you how I do that. So I am going to start with the first one. So this is the base for the front flower. So this is going to be the lighter one. And I'm going to be using some pink diamond ink for this one and my large blending tool from Altenew. I'm then just going to shift the stencil up, and this is going to give me the second layer that I do need. I'm just lining that up with the flower that we've just stenciled, and for this one I'm going to be using the Pinkalicious ink for this one, and this one has the 4 flowers, so the 2 large flowers and the buds on that one there. This is where I'm going to sneak in that little layer from the other side. So this one is just going to do that back flower and also the 2 buds. And I'm going to be using the Rubellite ink for this one, again using my large blending tool, but you could use a smaller one if you so wish. So I'm then going to move that one over, and I'm now onto a different stencil, and I'm going to be adding the layer that was supposed to be 3rd, but it's going to be our 4th layer. And I'm going to be using the Razzleberry ink for this one. It's a really beautiful purpley pink colour. So again, this is just going to go over the 4 whole flowers to add that really dark shading in. I'm then going to use the last piece for the shading of the flowers. I'm just going to line that up around the centres of those flowers. And for this one, I'm going to be using the Cosmic Berry ink for this. So I've just kind of stole an ink from a different ink family, but it works perfectly well. I'm then going to be using the Cloudy Night ink for the flower centres, but you could use a dark green if you so wish, just as long as it covers up that pink colour in the centre there. I'm then going to take the leaf layers. Now these have 2 layers, and I'm just going to line these up with the bottom of the buds and the bottom of that back flower there. For this one I am using the Marshland ink, and I'm just going to be using a smaller ink blending tool for this, just so I don't go over the edges as much. As you can see, I did miss out those little buds, but I can easily pop that back into place and then add the colour through the stencil. I'm just going to shift that stencil round, and this is going to add the dark shading to the leaves and stems here. And for this one I'm going to be using the Sea Forest ink, again using that small ink blending tool, the same one that I used for the other ink, and it works perfectly. So once you have seen the process of that one, I'm then going to do another 2 exactly the same. So for the base layer of that forefront flower, I'm going to be using the pink diamond. I'm then going to do the whole of the images, and I'm going to be using the Pinkalicious for that one. Then for the 3rd layer, that should be the 5th, I'm then going to be using the Rubellite. Then we're going to be using the 4th layer, which should be the 3rd, and we're going to be using the Razzleberry, then the Cosmic Berry, and then the Sea Forest and the Marshland for the leaves. And once that's done, and I have 3 of these beautiful little clusters here, I'm then going to take the die which coordinates, and I'm just going to pop this around our stenciled image, and then I'm going to die cut all 3 of these images through my die cutting machine. So as you can see, I've die cut those, and I've also die cut 3 separate ones using the same die just out of some white cardstock. I'm just going to arrange my images onto a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 panel. Take a piece of press and seal and press that down so it keeps all of these images together in just the way that I want them to be. I'm then going to take a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 top folding card base, and I'm just going to trim off some of it. So I'm just going to leave around about 3/4 of an inch at the top away from the score line. So I can then use this to kind of start my front of my card. It's just a little tiny flap, just so we can adhere some of the images onto that one. So once I've done that, I can then add or glue all behind these images that we have on the press and seal. You may want to get under the ones that are over things just to make sure that they're all nicely secured with each other. You could use wet glue if you wanted to, but I do find that this dry glue tape works perfectly. I'm then going to take my little flap card that we have here and a piece of backing from the double-sided adhesive from Altenew, and that's just cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now, when I place my images on the front of this, and it's going to adhere to that little flap there, and because we have that double-sided adhesive backing sheet in there, it's not going to stick to the front of the card. It is going to stick to that piece, and because it's easily removable because of the backing of a double-sided adhesive, it means that it's not going to stick anywhere else. So I can then quickly remove that. I can then take the die cuts, the white ones, and I'm going to add glue to the front of these, and then I'm just going to place these over the die cuts from the front. So this is going to kind of clear up any mucky edges or even cover the adhesive that's showing on the back of those flowers that we have. I'm just going to trim the top edge of these just so the card does shut properly. So I am just leaving about 1 millimeter away from that fold line so I can close the card. I can then remove the press and seal because they're all nicely stuck together. And I'm just going to get rid of the overhanging pieces from the bottom, just so the card sits up, but you can cut all the way around if you wish to. For my sentiment, I'm going to add this onto a piece of jet black cardstock. So I'm just adding some anti-static powder. The little sentiment that I have here is from the Carpe Diem stamp set, and I'm just going to be stamping that using some embossing ink. I'm going to then use some pure white embossing powder to go over the top, and that will stick to that embossing ink that we have down. All I need to do is then just heat set this. I then trimmed it down to a little bit of a strip, and I'm just going to add some of the foam tape from Altenew with the very pretty backing onto the back of my little sentiment piece here. Remove the backing pieces, and then I'm just going to pop that into place. You can really play around with where you want this to be, but I did want it over those images so you won't be able to see it from the inside of the card. So here is the card complete. I just love how it looks. I love that you can peek through it. It's something a little bit different, and it's still very, very pretty. I really do hope that you like the card and that you've enjoyed the video as well. If you do create a card that was inspired by this, it'd be great if you do share because we'd love to see. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I hope you have a really crafty day. See you soon. Bye-bye. Hello there, crafty friend. Lydia here. Just popping in to say that you can get your daily dose of crafting tips, techniques, and tutorials just like this by subscribing to the Altenew YouTube channel. All you need to do is click on that little bell up there and you will never miss a video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.